everyone, it's Vintage Machine Repair here, and today I have a super exciting machine. It is a Necchi Alco. So the Necchi Alcos actually have a really, or the Necchi machines in general have a really cool history. So these machines actually started being made after World War One, and of course they were made by a man named Necchi. Imagine that. And these machines were considered, top of the line Italian engineering. And these were really special machines. These were the Necchi Supernovas, the Necchi Miras, the Asperias, and all these machines made a huge splash for being, the future of sewing machines, the first machines with zigzag, and everything kind of, manufactured to make sewing as easy as possible. Really, really good machines. After World War II, as with Singer, Necchi found it really hard to compete with other companies that were making machines for a lot cheaper. And sometimes the cheaper option was more attractive than the, state of the art, top of the line that Necchi offered. And so they eventually, down the line, multiple years after, I believe in the 50s or the 60s, don't quote me on that, it might have been as late as the 70s, they actually ended up getting bought out by Janome. And even though Necchi machines are still made today, Janome actually owns them. So obviously the machines of today are plastic machines, and y'all know how I feel about that. But the Necchi Alcos were what was considered, I guess, some of the last machines that Necchi made of good quality, because these are still all metal machines. They just don't boast of all the bells and whistles and advanced engineering that a lot of the earlier Necchis did. Consequently, they're not as collectible, but that also means that they're not as expensive, and you do still get a Necchi machine, and it is still a great machine. I love working on Necchis. I think they're great, and I'm really excited to talk to you about this machine today. Okay, so overview of this machine. The Necchi Alco, at least this model that I have, I honestly cannot read the model number, was kind of peeled off, so I do not know what model this is. I apologize. And there are so many Necchi Alcos out there, so I really wish I knew, and I've looked everywhere, but I haven't been able to find it. If I do, I will update the listing, because I will be listing this machine on eBay today. This guy, so let's start front to back. So this guy has the tension assembly back here in the front. If you want to see a video on how to reassemble the tension assembly, do definitely go look at my YouTube channel. It uses your standard needles, and it uses class 15 bobbins. It has a bobbin that loads into a bobbin case. That, of course, comes with the machine. It has the bobbin winding mechanism down here, and here's the spool pin for, actual sewing. It's a straight stitch machine only, as I mentioned, and so it only has a stitch length knob, no stitch width knobs. And it has a pretty easy reverse button. Again, like I was saying, it's a little jiggly, and I thought initially that it was maybe something loose in there, but it seems it is just a quirk of the machine. It has a function to drop the feed dogs completely. It has a knob here that has settings on normal, which is just basically what you would be keeping it at 99% of the time. It lightens up the feed dogs to just above the top for silk, and then you can turn the knob all the way over for embroidery, where it drops the feed dogs completely. So I think that is a really cool detail right there. bobbin winding. So I have a video on how to wind a bobbin that you should definitely go check out. But it has a, you know, you can't get any easier than this when you're winding a bobbin. I also forgot to mention that it does have a button where you can lighten or, you know, ease up on the pressure of the presser foot. That is a really nice detail to have. So looking toward the back, we have a hand wheel. The clutch is typical. The motor's back here. It does use a belt. The belt is in great condition. I just changed it myself. It has a dual outlet that goes in here where the storage case is. One of the outlets goes to the motor, the other one goes to the actual machine. This does come in a plastic case. The actual plastic case is in great condition, the base of it. It is missing one of the knobs back here that kind of helps the machine go, you know, be able to lift it, but you can still lift it without any trouble, as you can see. It's just, you know, I want to make sure that you guys know that it does have that detail. And the reason why is because the base is actually a little bit cracked back here. Does not affect the sewing, but like most vintage cases, you're probably not going to be able to, you know, put the case on and then lock it and be able to carry it around. I wouldn't recommend that with any vintage case, but especially not with this one. The top case has 4 cracks in it. They're, I would say medium-sized cracks, but it does afford protection from moisture, and it does afford protection from dust, which is what I think cases for machines this old should probably be used for. Let's see. I want to say that those are the extent of the details on this machine. It comes with the machine, the case, 2 class 15 bobbins, a fresh needle. One of the bobbins, as always, is wound up with thread so that you can start to sew from the moment you get the machine. And it has a working bulb, and yeah, I think that is pretty much all there is to say about this Necchi Alco. It's a super solid machine. Super solid. And we'll look right now to see what kind of stitches it makes. Okay, so we have here just a few layers of quilting cotton. So it's nothing super heavy duty. Apologies for my very curious cat. And let's start there. So I'm actually going to start on a pretty middle of the road stitch length. I usually start with the longest, but you know, this is an actual seam. I'm actually quilting. So let's start, you know, kind of medium. So that's a pretty small stitch width, a stitch length, excuse me, and those stitches are quite nice. So let's move up to 3. Those are quite nice as well. Let's move up to like 3.5. So I don't know if you can tell, but the machine is just cruising along beautifully and is making the prettiest stitches. Absolutely gorgeous. So the stitch length knob, and so again, I know it's going to be incredibly difficult to see. You just have to trust me. They look really, really good, and you can tell that they're really, really strong. So I'm very happy with those. The stitch length knob, it goes from 0 to 4. Don't know why. Let me move around the camera.